That sentence usually arrives with a small pause, as if the other person wants to sound gentle, or at least appear that way. And then they say, "You're too sensitive." And you, without fully knowing why, feel yourself fold inward, like a sudden light hitting your face, and you remember you're visible. Not the kind of being seen that feels safe, the kind that feels risky. Without realizing it, you learned a long time ago that feeling isn't always safe. Not because anyone was cruel, but because in some homes, emotions don't fit. They take up too much space. They get too loud. Maybe you learned that if you cried, you'd be mocked, or the silence would get heavier, or someone would become more upset, and you'd feel like it was your fault. And that's when a child begins to understand a quiet, invisible rule. Make your feelings smaller so other people can be comfortable. This is how a child disappears, not by vanishing, but by constantly adjusting themselves for everyone else. And you learned that adjustment very well, very early, even before you had words for what was happening. Sometimes people call it being mature for your age. Sometimes they call it being wise. But inside, it often feels like this. You're taking care of everyone's emotional state before anyone takes care of yours. And your nervous system grows in that language, the language of staying alert, the language of studying faces, tone, and the silence between sentences. You learn to sense things before they happen. Not because you were weak, because you were human. That sensitivity, later, isn't just a personality trait. It isn't a bad habit. It isn't a choice. It's a survival strategy. Your body learned to react early so it wouldn't be caught off guard, so it wouldn't be pulled back into that old feeling of being unprotected. Now, as an adult, people think you take things too seriously, too deeply, that you shake too quickly, that your heart breaks too fast. But the truth is, you just understand faster, because you spent years practicing how to understand. And what once saved you can start to feel like a prison, because this high sensitivity means that even when everything is fine on the surface, something in you is still on standby, as if one corner of your mind is always watching the weather change. And when they say you're too sensitive, what you really hear isn't "you're wrong." You hear, "the real you is too much for this world." And the pain of that is quiet. It doesn't announce itself, but it lasts. And maybe, just maybe, your sensitivity isn't a sign that something is broken. It's a sign that some part of you never went numb, never fully shut down, still feels, still knows. Not because you were weak, but because you were human. Because somewhere along the way, you had to manage your emotions too early, before anyone taught you what to do with them. And when you understand that, something inside you shifts slowly. Not like a solution, not like a fix, just a quiet recognition. This sensitivity was never a flaw. It was the language your body learned to survive.